Well, aloha and welcome everybody. My name is Paul Fletcher, and tonight I have been blessed to be asked to be one of the teachers. For those of you that are not familiar, I was a center leader along with Dr. Rulin Shu for the Portland community. What feels like a decade ago was only actually about 2 years ago. And in that time, much has transpired. One of the things that remains the same is the desire to serve humanity and assist each of us through life using the wisdom, the teachings, and the qualities of life, the healing empowerments that Dr. and Master Shah has brought to humanity. I came across this teacher, Dr. and Master Shah, about 15 years ago. I had trained with, at that point, trained with two different very powerful teachers, masters, at that time not knowing that they were enlightened people. It is only through the training and wisdom and the 15 years of learning with Dr. and Master Shah that I've had a much deeper understanding of what an enlightened person is and how they bring themselves to the table. And I'm very clear that this soul, Dr. and Master Shah, is an awakened and enlightened being. He has a very big heart and a desire to bring very simple tools to us at the ground level at a very simple way where we can bring healing and transformation to the parts of our life that have a lot of suffering. And so speaking for myself, I have used much of what I'm going to share with you today ever since I've learned of them many years ago, over a decade ago. I continue to use them on a daily basis, and I will be sharing with you today 10 specific qualities that will assist you with processing and working with the stress that can have immediate benefits that you can apply every day. Stress is, in most people's books, not fun. It can be debilitating physically, emotionally, mentally. It has many sources: money, relationships, health issues, and more. And so what I'm going to do today as part of my desire to be of service is to share with you some real life examples of how these qualities can be implemented in the middle of a stressful experience or a stressful event. Because what we truly want to accomplish here is to be able to empower ourselves when we're having stressful experiences to stay focused. The dilemma of stress is that it can yank us away from our responsibilities. It can yank us away from our intentions of accomplishing something that we have a true need and desire to accomplish. It could be accomplishing a simple task. It could be sleep, right? There's many different things that are important to accomplish, and it's hard to do when we have stress. So when we have tools available to us that are easy to grab, easy to pull into that moment where we have a stress, that's going to make it much easier to overcome that challenge, whatever that is. So that's what I hope to accomplish today. So I'll stop now and kind of check in and see who's joined us. So welcome Zahir, welcome Sandy, welcome also Ronald and Eliel. Welcome Anita, aloha to my soul family in Portland. Anita, Terry, Sharon, Holly. And do reach out if you have people that you've talked to about these wisdoms, these teachings. You've invited them to the Wednesday night. You know, they might have all the intention of being here, but maybe they have stress in their life and they lost focus about coming here now, right? Because that happens. So reach out to them and assist them with remaining focused. Say, yep, I knew you were going to forget this, or I knew you were going to potentially get sidetracked because that's what happens with stress, right? We lose our focus. So do reach out to them now. I'd love to see us gather another 5 to 10 people today. And of course, at the end of this, you heard the clicking on and off of recording. So this will be shareable to all of those people that you care about and those who can benefit. Okay, so what are these qualities that I'm speaking of? Roughly 11 years ago, Dr. and Master Shah was in one of his many travels, globetrotting. Typically, he would be traveling 9-10 months of the year, different countries, different states, a combination of both, lots of times in different countries. And so much of his time was actually on an airplane. And so he was literally on the airplane when he received these 10 qualities. When he received them, he asked, what do I call them? And he received, call them the 10 Da qualities. Da, D-A, means greatest in Mandarin Chinese. And if you haven't figured out by now, Ji Gong Sha is Mandarin Chinese. Fortunately, I'm not. So hopefully you can understand my English much better. So Da is the greatest. So each one of these qualities carry the greatest measurement. So I've had many years to consider this. He didn't put a lot of emphasis on it for the first 5 years. He showed us what they were, told us to implement these qualities in our life. And in those first 5 years, I was like, how come he hasn't let go of these? Why does he keep bringing them up? And eventually he wrote books on them, and eventually he created calligraphies like the ones behind me. And in my world, not his world, and I haven't heard this from his mouth, in my world, these are kind of like the 10 Commandments for the modern age. And as I've looked closer into them, the greatest love, Da I. And Holly, you're welcome to post that PDF I gave you if you'd like to help people with this. The greatest forgiveness is Da Quan Shu. Now you're not, good news, you don't have to study this and memorize these. The third of the 10 Da qualities, Da Ci Bei, the greatest compassion. Number 4, Da Guang Ming, the greatest light. Number 5 is Da Qian Bei, the greatest humility. Number 6 is Da He Xie, the greatest harmony. That's this one right here. This calligraphy is the greatest harmony. And Da I, greatest love, is behind me. And this one over here is the greatest forgiveness. The 7th of the 10 Da qualities, which most people flock to, is Da Chang Sheng, the greatest flourishing. The 8th of the qualities is Da Gan An, the greatest gratitude. Then there is 9 and 10. 9 is the greatest service, and 10 is the greatest enlightenment. So love, forgiveness, compassion, light, humility, harmony, flourishing, gratitude, service, enlightenment. Those are pretty powerful commandments, if you will. So how then can we use those to benefit our daily life and help us remain focused when we have stress in our life? And then again, what are those root causes of that stress? So for those of you that are familiar with the classes that I offer and the wisdoms that I've shared, Master Sha-based wisdoms, I often speak of presence. And in my personal observation for myself, and obviously my students that I'm working with, I find myself not so much holding stress for a long term, but being interrupted by stressful things. This is in my world, okay? So the question becomes, what interrupts the calmness and creates a stress? For some of us, it's a constant stress, a stress of age and the associated mental concerns, worries, doubts, and fears associated with age. Because there is a belief, it doesn't mean it's true, because it's been proven not true in many places, but you might buy into that it's true, that as you get older, you have health issues and things get creaky and old and painful. Well, if you bought into that, okay, but it doesn't mean it's true for others, because there are quite a few people that it's just not true for them. And they're the same age as you. But nevertheless, that could be a source of stress. And so if you have that pain and what you've tried has not worked, then that's an ongoing form of a stress. And it could change your focus, which is one of the subject matters for today. What's another form of stress? How about relationship or lack thereof, right? How many people have given up on love? How many people are married, but they're 10, 20, 25 years into it, and they're like, yeah, whatever, I love the person, but it is what it is, right? So is that a form of stress for you? Maybe, maybe not. What if you don't have a partner? That can be a form of stress for a lot of people. Would that affect your focus? It depends. How much of your happiness is your chosen degree of dependence upon somebody else being in your life? So if that's really important to you and you have an attachment to somebody else being in your life, then you've created a stress around that. And that could be affecting your focus. What are other forms of stress? Money. Number one form of stress for the vast majority of humanity. Money. Okay? And so that can be an ongoing thing, and it can be controlled a bit, and then we get a bill, and then it raises it, and it knocks us out of our focus of what we intend to do. I also often do teaching on conscious manifestation, presence, conscious manifestation. Got classes, courses, teach it in my daily classes. So not going too far off on that tangent, but specific to stress, if I want to hold a positive vibration of my preferred and ideal outcome for a manifestation that I would like to bring into my life, and then I have a stress over here that jerks me away from my preferred vibration of positivity, that's not good either, is it? And what if that preferred vibration is, having $10,000 a month or whatever it might be, right? New home, doesn't really matter. And then I get an unexpected bill, an extra, $1,000 that came out of nowhere. So does that jerk me out of the positive place I was at? Is that a form of stress? Does that change my focus? The answer would be yes. And so these kinds of triggers occur for pretty much all of us. And one of the keys is presence. We're going to use presence and these 10 Da qualities in harmony, to utilize them to work with each other. Because stress, at least in my personal observation, everything I've read, watched, experienced, and communicated with my own students, is controllable and doesn't actually need to occur. Stress is literally about perception, literally. What we believe creates our reaction. And what we believe has been programmed into us by external sources and our own agreements of what is true for us. I believe this is true. I don't believe that is true. I believe this about this, and I don't believe that about that. We have all our adopted, accepted beliefs. Those then become the buffer that any experience that is the typical, catalyst for stress, that stress catalyst, I just gave you some examples, butts up against our belief system, whatever it is. We formulated it. We worked our whole life to create that belief system, which is there to protect us, assist us to get to our desired end result, whatever that is. So it runs through those filters, and we react or respond accordingly. In other words, our perception, which is what it butts up against, is the filter. Our perception is all of our beliefs, everything we've ever, our ego, everything that is us. That is what this butts up against. It's our perception. And our perception is what either dissolves the stress, neutralizes the stress, or enhances the stress. Our perception. So if we can control our perception, if we can reduce it through presence, if we can reduce any negativity of how things are addressed when we have a stressful experience or event come into our life, an unexpected bill, a constant thinking about not having a love in my life, worrying about how my best friend, Bill got cancer and maybe I'll get cancer, blah, blah, blah. Whatever that stress is, it's going to butt up against our belief systems. So we need to be responsible for how we receive that information. That information is called the input. And it is the output that is as important as how we receive that input. Because in terms of maintaining focus, in terms of maintaining the least amount of negativity upon receiving anything stressful in our lives, it's how we react and respond. For myself, and probably for a good chunk of us, I tend to catch myself after I have reacted and responded. So I've already had an automatic occur. That automatic might not be my preferred response or reaction. It was most likely based on all the beliefs that I've adopted and accepted and built my personality around. And so now I've reacted. Did that reaction enhance the stress? Did it neutralize it? Did it quash it? So it has no value. It has no empowerment against me. Was I able to maintain my focus of what I was trying to accomplish? Was I able to maintain my focus of positivity of my preferred vibration? Presence is the key. Presence is the answer. But it's only half of the answer. With presence, I can discern, I can witness the input. With presence, I can see. I can feel myself being very irritated by this bill that just arrived. I can feel myself going into a bit of a depression around not having a significant other in my life. I can feel myself having fears and apprehensions because of this health issue that might come to me because I believe age, blah, 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 right? So you can't witness it until you're present. That's where everything starts, presence. And it starts by placing yourself, not you, Ronald, not you, Eliel, not you, Anita, not you, Zahir, not you, Diliana, and everyone else's name I haven't mentioned. It's when I say you, I'm not talking about you. It starts by you, your soul, being present and positioning yourself as the watcher of the mind, positioning yourself as the witnesser of the thought, positioning yourself as the one who is witnessing the programming that the ego part of you has spent its entire life developing, because that programming dictates your stress and reactions and responses to stress, unless or until you witness it and choose a different reaction or response through conscious presence. When we can master conscious presence, when we can witness and watch and observe, there is nothing we can't change. There is nothing we can't create. There's nothing we cannot manifest with far greater ease. It is very difficult to get our preferred desired outcome, remaining focused, no stress, preferred relationship, preferred health outcome, preferred financial outcome. It's very difficult to accomplish that when we live in a continual battle of stress, a continual battle of putting out the next fire. And it's been my observation that if you could line up all of the people that are on the awakened path, 90% of them are poor. And all the people that are not awake have plenty of money because they're busy screwing everybody else, right? Taking advantage of everybody else because they don't care. They don't have the right consciousness. But those who are interested in growth, those who are interested in um, figuring out what this is all about and really having a truly valuable life, tend to have a lot more suffering, tend to have a lot more stress, tend to be less financially um, safe, so to speak. And this is not accidental. This is as a result of your soul choices. We do make those kinds of choices before we arrive. And almost always it's because of the benefits that are gained at the level of soul. Now, down here, the personality is going, this sucks, right? Down here, we're getting our butt kicked. It's not fun. But the soul chose this because it knew that growth occurs through resistance, yin and yang. The catapult to enlightenment occurs through the pulling back of the rubber band into the difficult places. There is virtually no growth for those people that are oblivious to the sufferings that those who are on the awakening path go through. They have almost no growth. You know, they have the white picket fence, the perfect house, the car, the cat, the dog, you know, all that stuff. But they don't really grow. And in many cases, they create a lot of negative karma by hurting others. And so it's hard for us, the ones that are on the awakened journey. It doesn't have to be, because the things I'm sharing with you now, literally, pay attention, the things I'm sharing with you now literally can reverse this entire lifetime of your suffering, because it boils down to perspective, and it boils down to positioning yourself as what you are, not what you think you are. So this information has been taught you hundreds of times before. Dr. Joe Dispenza, just start rattling off any of these kinds of folks, right? They've all been saying their own versions of the same things. I can't think of a bunch of them, right? But here's Paul's version of it. When you pause and become present, when you witness the mind, watch the mind, observe the chatter, witness the fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, but do not enhance it by riding the horse of fear, by riding the horse of worry, doubt, anxiety. Do not enhance that stressful piece of information that arrived at your doorstep, the input. When you simply observe it from the position of what you truly are, which is a limitless soul. You are a limitless soul that has incarnated in this temporary vessel for the purpose of experience. And if you can simply hold that truth, you are halfway to a much happier, stress-free life. Because this vessel, this mind, and everything you've ever learned is not who you are. You have bought into that your whole life, and we can't sign off, right? This vessel is still Paul. Paul still has to sign his name on paying the bills. Paul still has to, drive to ABC and buy groceries. So this physical life is as real as it gets. But how this physical life is experienced and the stresses that come in with it and the stresses that don't have to be there are under Paul's control if Paul and the programming is changed. So what does that mean? That means step one, become the observer. Become the soul who witnesses the mind as separate from the soul. Because when we're done, this body becomes worm food. The mind, the brain becomes worm food. Okay? The experience is forever. The experience is real, everything else is fake. And because the experience is real, we have the opportunity to control that experience. But we have bought into, I am this mind, I am this body, I am this label, I am an engineer, I am this, I am that. That's the falseness. I am a soul having a temporary experience in this vessel that I have been given the authority and right to control, and I can witness that the mind is having a fury, worry, doubt, anxiety, and it's enhancing that anxiety by giving it attention. I can witness that. I don't have to ride that negative force, but I can witness it. When you place yourself in that consciousness, you can control your stress dramatically. Dramatically. It's about giving yourself the opportunity to realize what you are and what you are not. Now, some people might be very analytical. They're mind oriented. Well, yeah, but you can't prove the soul, Paul. Okay, well, let's go with faith for a little while and see if the next things I share could help you. So once we position ourselves to witness and watch, instead of be the victim of, which in essence is the alternative. How's that working out for you, right? How's that working out for you, suffering financially moment to moment with every new bill? How's it working out for you, suffering moment to moment with every thought about a health issue or every lack of not having love in your life, blah, blah, blah? What are you doing? You are riding the tide of the mind as if you are the victim of it, as if you have no control over it. All that is false. So presence is the solution. And in that presence, standing as the soul, witnessing, now you can rewrite what you would prefer. And this is how we work with the 10 dot qualities. Half the battle is putting everything on pause, becoming awake and aware enough to put it on pause and just look at it. That's half the battle. But the other half is, what am I going to do now that I witness this? How am I going to reframe this and rewrite it in such a way where I benefit? I have to spend 3 to 4 minutes on what happens with the output, because when you go through the reframing and the adding of the 10 Da qualities, adding love, adding forgiveness, adding compassion, adding light or humility, adding flourishing consciousness, adding gratitude. When you start to add these as your output, there is something that occurs. And it might not be immediately visible, but it will show its face. And what occurs is what's called the output. The output is what creates your tomorrow. So today, you are receiving yesterday's output. Today, you're receiving last week's output. Today, you're receiving last month and last year and last decade's output. Was the output negative? Was it filled with fear? Was it filled with doubt? Was it filled with worry and concern? Was it filled with anxiety? Was it filled with, I'm never going to find true love? Was it filled with, I'm worried about cancer? Was it filled with, how am I ever going to get ahead? What was your output? What was the predominant output? Because that's what you stepped into today. So when we go to neutral, pause and observe the input. When we witness from the soul, realize I am not this mind, I am not that thought. That's just a repeating thought. That's just something that I have this perspective because that's what was proven true. I have to work to get money because it's proven true. My whole life I've had to work. If I don't work, I don't get money. Well, it doesn't mean it's true. It just means that that's what you've accepted as a belief. It doesn't mean it's true. It's what you've accepted as a belief. And so as we move into presence, we can choose, even without believing in manifestation, what do you want? Even without knowing how it works, you can simply choose 10 positive qualities to enhance as your output, instead of enhancing anything negative that comes in. Your stress will instantly reduce. Your focus will remain. And the side benefit is these 10 positive qualities that can become a natural part of who you are, become your output. And that output becomes your tomorrow and your next week and your next month and your next year. Who wouldn't want more flourishing? Who wouldn't want more gratitude? Who would not want more love? Who would not want more compassion or light in their life? Who would not want a little more enlightenment? Who would not want a little more harmony? So when that becomes our output, that also becomes our input. And as harmony enters our life, it's a whole lot easier to smile. As gratitude enters our life, because our output becomes our input, as gratitude enters our life, that would equate to a more positive space to foresee a more positive future. Output equals input. It starts with presence. Stress is a result of automatic reaction and response built upon everything we've adopted and accepted, which is the mind, and the mind is not who you really are. We just have identified ourselves as the body, as the name, as the mind. So as you position yourself from today forward, I invite you to look at those 10 Da qualities. If you're a Master Sha student, you're already familiar with them. I'm going to go over them one by one so that you have a little more actual perspective. So you get up in the morning, you go through your routine, you get out to the car. Okay, automatic response. I do this all the time. I just did it probably a half hour ago. Shit, right? Something unexpected. Auto response. So we have to catch ourselves. Okay, that's not going to serve me. How can I look at this? How would the soul look at this? Should be one of your first questions. So after you catch yourself in an auto response. Okay, how would the soul look at this? Well, first of all, the input is serving me. Very important. Whatever is coming in, somehow this is serving me. I just don't know how. What did I do there? I converted the input that might be perceived as a stressful negative into an output that this is going to serve me. I just don't know how. I've adjusted, is it a negative or a positive, by my belief. Because the conscious creator, the person that is a soul and realizes this is a temporary experience, the person who wants to limit the stress and enhance the positivity, takes responsibility for their responses and their reactions. They take responsibility for their perceptions. Now, for those that have very strong mind-based willpowers, they'll fight me. Well, yeah, Paul, but you know, the car still didn't start. You still got to get to work. You don't get to work, and you get fired. And the mind goes, right? There's always that. And yet, is any part of that have any positivity associated with it at all? Do you want that in your output? We are in a phase of development as a human race, literally as a race, as an entire species, of a much greater awakening to our true and original nature, our soul nature. And with that comes a truth that everyone will come to realize, and there's a lot of people just at the precipice of this, that the soul is actually limitless. And we are very limited in this experience. And all of our life has proven that, right? So it's really hard if we buy into it. This is why at the very beginning I put so much, like 15 minutes emphasis on, we have to position ourselves as a soul. We have to watch and witness the mind. The more you watch, the more you witness, the easier it is to realize, oh my goodness, all the programming has been creating more and more negativity, and that's been my output, and that's coming back around, and I'm getting more of what I don't want. And I'm actually creating it because I'm not being responsible for how I'm handling this input. Once you get that and really, really get it, that's when you can start having positivity and your preferred output, whatever it is. Da I, the greatest love, and Da Quan Shu, the greatest forgiveness, are the first two 10 Da qualities. So how would I apply that? Okay, I go out, I start the car doesn't start. Okay, I want to react negatively. I witness myself wanting to react negatively. I witness my brain wanting to go, yeah, about this, and fear about that, and worry about this, and job that, and da 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 da. I'm not going to enhance that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself love. And I'm going to give myself forgiveness for having this negative reaction all this time. I'm going to remind myself that everything happens to serve me. Somehow, this will be a positive. I'm not quite sure how, I just know it will. Okay? So now you still have to do common sense things. You probably have to call your neighbor or knock on their door, get somebody to help you jumpstart the car, whatever the issue is, change the tire. Okay? And in that process, because you've held a positive state of mind around it, you've given yourself love and forgiveness and compassion, probably the third of the 10 Da qualities. You've stayed in a positive space. So now you're chatting with your neighbor who's helping you, and they start telling you about a new job they started and how they're looking for people and how it pays $2 more an hour than what you're getting paid. I say, oh my God, you say they're hiring? Yeah. You want me to say something good for you? Yeah, please. So what happened in this example? Because we did not enhance the negativity, because we were present and we witnessed it, and we said, I choose a different output. Let me bring love, forgiveness, compassion into this vibration. We did not enhance something negative, therefore, we're not going to be bringing more of what we don't want to us. We held a positive vibration. We put forth the consciousness that everything is serving me, I just don't know how. A neighbor starts telling us about a job that pays $2 more an hour. Now, we don't know if we're going to get it or not, may or may not work out, but an opportunity came to you because you kept the right vibration versus riding the horse of negativity, which the vast majority of us do by default, subconsciously or consciously, because we are not monitoring the present moment and our automations. So now, later on that day, you get yourself to work. And by the way, when you get to work, you find out that your boss was also late. So nothing happens, because that's how heaven works, right? This is how heaven works. You go with the flow works with you. It's amazing what happens. And so halfway through the day, maybe you're at your lunch break and you go, you know, I actually been doing some dangling around in manifestation stuff. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, I sat down and talked to God and I said, God, I really need a better job. You know, at least $2 more an hour would be great. And look, here it is. This is amazing. Because that's how manifestation works also. We put it out there and then we let go. And if we're able to sustain a level of positivity by not enhancing the negativity, and we do that by being present and choosing a preferred reaction and response, then heaven does not have resistance in bringing to us what we prefer. We create our own resistance by not being present. We create our own resistance by buying into this. And as awakened souls that have literally, we chose a bit more suffering than everybody else, because for us, we really want to reach these higher levels of enlightenment. It's not going to happen when you're riding the ice cream train. Okay, it's just not. But when we choose the harder paths, we have opportunities like these messages today. And I tell you, if it was a year ago, some of you, it just hit the forehead and fall on the ground. But today, maybe it's going in the ears another inch or two. For me, it hit my forehead and fell on the ground the last 10 years. I mean, I heard the same stuff, I'm telling you. You have too. Maybe it's finally working today. But one of the reasons why it's going in deeper today is because, as I said a moment ago, the entirety of humanity is moving through much, much more light and into an awakening process where we're starting to realize our true nature. That is not hocus pocus. That's really happening. And that's why it's a bit easier for us to grasp this now versus just a few years ago. So work with that. Allow yourself to say, I want more of this. And what will happen is when you're scrolling through social media, you'll get more. Oh, that validates what I just heard. That helps me leg up a little bit. Oh, wow, I was kind of falling off the train here, going back into my old patterns, but because I've maintained some level of positivity, I get another piece of information that puts me back on track. Your soul will give you these gifts as we kind of vacillate in and out of awakening, in and out of presence, okay, because it is a bit of a struggle to remain in presence. What's another quality? Light and compassion. Datsube, Dagwang Ming, numbers 3s and 4s. What is the greatest compassion? What is the greatest light? Compassion towards self. Raise your hand if you have guilt or shame about anything in this life. Guilt or shame. Raise your hand if you're your worst advocate, right? Oh God, you're so stupid. I can't believe you didn't do that. Ah, you idiot. Right? Is that you? Stop. Is that positive or is that negative? Where's that coming from? Do you think your soul would say that to you? Huh? That's this guy. This guy up here is just a hard drive. That's all it is. You came in with a hard drive. Programming, school, this, religion, that, mom, this, dad, that, good, bad, da, 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 right, wrong, black, white, blah, 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 programming. Here you are, 30, 40, 100 years later, making decisions as if you're the programming, as if you are that. And your brain, does your brain know how enlightenment works? Does your brain know the nature of the universe? Does your brain know anything about God? It's a child. It is not you. Your soul. Where do you think intuition comes from? Your brain? Intuition is your soul and your guides, angels, and saints talking through your apparatus that is in this vessel, but it's covered up because you're too attached to the eyes, the ears, the validations of the brain, blah, blah, blah. You are not this guy, and waking up to that will help you immensely. Compassion, datsube, is something that you can give yourself, especially when you catch yourself beating yourself up, guilt, shame. Just step back into the soul's perspective and go, oh my God, look at that tyrant little 1-year-old guilting me. Look at that shame. I am the soul, and I'm witnessing the mind, this little tyrant, this temporary thing that will become worm food in a few decades here. This brain will become worm food in a few decades. And you've been letting that thing that's going to be worm food control your life? Choices. Witness it. And what you'll discover is that as a soul who chose this experience for the purpose of enlightenment, awakening, I forgive myself. I give myself massive compassion for all the time I've been guilting myself, for all the time I've been shaming myself. My goodness. I just let that go. It has no value whatsoever, no purpose whatsoever in my life. I am not going to enhance that negativity at all. Yeah, I'm done with that. Matter of fact, I'm going to give myself love. I like that quality. I'm going to enhance love in my heart right now. Enhance the 10 Da qualities. I'm going to enhance the quality of flourishing. I like that. That feels good. I'm going to focus on flourishing right now. I'm going to focus on gratitude. Gratitude is like the gas pedal of life. Gratitude will bring things faster to you than anything. So we want to learn to enhance these qualities. Compassion for yourself is one of the biggest benefits you can give yourself. And it's much easier to give yourself compassion first when you position yourself as the soul who now very awakeningly sees the tyrant of the mind and its very limited comprehensions. It's very, it's the mind thinks it's important. It thinks it's the master of your life. Uh, but look what trouble it's caused you. Honestly, look at it. It's yes, it's helped you out of jams because you think things through, but hasn't it recreated suffering over and over again? Because that's all it's capable of. It's just capable of regurgitating what it knows. It only knows what it knows. It only knows what's been programmed. Your role as an awakened soul is to reprogram it. How do you do that? Pause, presence, witness. Isn't that interesting? The monkey mind. Let me choose a preferred vibration of love, forgiveness, compassion, light, or a preferred manifestation that carries much yummier vibration associated with it. Let me enhance that instead in this present moment. And that becomes your output, which becomes your tomorrow. What about light, the greatest light? You are a soul, period. You are light. And your soul, not you, your soul resides within the heart of Source, because we are all one, remember? It's oneness. So your soul is within the heart of Source. So that means that this is a temporary version. There are both Master Sha and other masters share almost identical statements that a very small portion of us, about 2%, actually incorporates and comes into this body. So that means 98% of us is hanging out with God. Only 2% of us is here. And yet we buy into it that this is the all and the everything, and we suffer. Light is what is the natural side effect of remembering what you are. Source is constantly sending light, right? But it's been like a straw. Light comes into this little, like a little coffee straw. You know, the little stirrers that have a little bitty hole, little plastic coffee straws, little bitty hole, right? So that's how big the light's been coming in. And then as you awaken, maybe you get a regular drink size straw. We want to make it not just a garden hose. We want to make it not just a fire hose. We want to make it, as wide as our body. We want that light pouring in. And guess what? The light is literally coming in like that, a wide channel, but only a little bit is going to that little bitty straw. What's squeezing the straw? Ego, attachment to the mind-body complex. That's what squeezes the straw. Presence helps us to open the tip of that straw so more light comes in. What is that light? That is the remembering of our true nature. That is our soul saying, hey, this is what you are. This experience, we chose this temporarily so you can expand your awakening, so that you can realize what you are and what you are not, so that you can experience limiting stuff, and you can experience limitlessness, all in this physical experience. Think about it as an aspect of the source. We're limitless. Hey, you get bored. I can do anything. I'm limitless. I'm a part of source. Hey, I know. Let's put a portion of myself down into this place and experience limitation, so I can have some new experiences. I'm joking a bit, but that is, in essence, a lot of why the souls incarnate temporarily. Humility, Da Chen Ved, the 5th of the 10 qualities. Harmony is the 6th. What is humility? Humility is recognizing exactly what I've been telling you. And one additional thing, humility is recognizing I am not this mind, I am not this body, I am not this name. I am really experiencing, but I'm going to choose how to define these experiences, and I'm going to choose how to reprogram this hard drive up here to benefit me. That is humility. Humility is, unlike Paul, when your 5-year-old gets in your face and my ego response wants to react, from a defensive posture because how dare a 5-year-old get in the face of an adult? It's disrespectful, right? Why? Where'd that programming come from? Because that's what I was taught. I was getting smacked around as a kid by a stepdad who was stuck in his ego. And I still have ego responses with my little 5-year-old. But I witness the automatic reaction. And instead of coming out in a defensive posture, I choose love, I choose forgiveness, I choose compassion for myself, and I choose to offer love in my communication whenever I can be present enough to do so. So it's a process, this awakening, and this is why the 10 qualities have been brought to us to assist us with replacing automatics and the programmings that is not serving us with positive programming, if you will, and ways of reacting and responding and being for our new output, which again, our output wraps around and becomes our tomorrow. So our predominant vibration, our predominant thoughts become our tomorrow. Do you want more of the negative predominant thoughts, worries, concerns, doubts, fears to become your tomorrow, your stresses? Or do you want a preferred vibration? Harmony is the 6th of the 10 qualities. Da Hashe. That's this calligraphy right here, Da Hashe. And this calligraphy, this quality, is built on a simple, there's one, I got to go back one step to Da Chembe. There's 2 parts of it. We covered one part of it. The other part of it is that we are not alone. This is so huge. I don't want to go past this without covering this. Did you create yourself? You probably wouldn't be watching this if you thought you did. You know that there is a source and a source creator. And probably you believe that you have heaven's teams and guides, angels, saints, Jesus, Buddha, whomever you align with. We are not ever alone. Humility acknowledges that. Humility says, I am humbled that these invisible beings are assisting me to move through this experience with the greatest benefit and the least suffering, because they are. All of us, at least one time in our life, have experienced what we would call a miracle. I promise you, if your spiritual eyes were open, you would see yourself surrounded by many of these invisible beings. So humility is remembering we are not alone. That's a quality. So the more we, and this is an important slice of wisdom when it comes to the right consciousness as a soul. We don't want to place power or empowerment outside of ourselves. We don't want to place Buddhas and saints and heaven's teams and guides and God outside of ourselves. Okay, that reduces us and it puts them on a pedestal. That basically puts us outside of God. We are one with God. This is oneness. Okay, we are all within. So watch yourself, because the teachings, the programmings place God outside of us, place Jesus and Buddha outside of us, place the saints outside of us. We are all one within the source. And they are within our heart. Source is within our heart. I am within the source is within me. The great teachers, Master Sha and others. I am within Tao is within me. I am within the one is within me. I am in the ocean, and the ocean is within me. Same. The mind will probably never grasp it, but the soul understands. And so do yourself a favor and realize that harmony and humility are about realizing these qualities. So as you move through the struggles of life and as you are challenged by stressful events, choose the vibration of harmony. I'm witnessing the stressful event in my vibration. I'm witnessing my mind want to pull forth the last 3 times this happened. I'm witnessing my mind want to expand those and loop on those. Tell me, right? You probably are one of those people that loops things. I know I do occasionally. I'm much better now, but I used to be incessant with the loops, right? Just negative, 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 negative. Then it'd find another negative over here. And if you actually paused for a minute and tried to figure out what brought that loop into your vibration, it might be something crazy like I saw somebody wearing red, and that reminded me of my ex because she wore red all the time, and that reminded me when she dumped me, and now I'm looping on when my ex dumped me. But it all started with the color red, right? This is the nature of the mind, and this is why we do not want to empower it, and we do want to witness it from the perspective of the soul. You want to stop your stress? You want to be present? You must become the witnesser. You must become what you truly are, a soul, having a temporary physical experience. And as you choose harmony, you can choose that as your vibration. I'm witnessing this disharmony in my vibration. I'm witnessing the mind kind of create more disharmony. I choose the vibration of harmony. You can literally have that experience, whatever it might be, and you can say, I'm going to rewrite what I want this to look like. Okay, whatever it is, doesn't matter if it's an argument with a spouse, doesn't matter if it's an argument with a coworker or a boss, the label's irrelevant. You can choose to say, I'm going to create right now, I'm going to close my eyes for the next 3 minutes, I'm going to focus on this unpleasant thing that I normally loop on and a preferred harmonious outcome. And you can witness yourself and your boss saying, hey, I'm sorry, you know what, you were right. Forgive me for that reaction and response. Matter of fact, here's your raise. You can choose that as your preferred vibration, which is full of harmony and a preferred positive vibration instead of enhancing the negativity. But you can't do that if you're not present. You can't do that if you ride that horse of that old patterned mind. The reason I'm bringing these 10 dot qualities to you in this way is because we have to have alternatives. If we do not have an alternative, we're just going to do the same things we've always done because we're patterned vehicles or patterned vessels. We operate off of patterns. I was talking to myself, which I don't do very often, but I was talking to myself today. I said, wow, I like patterns because they make my life a bit more comfortable. I can expect what's next. I do this at this time, I do that at that time, I have my coffee at this time, da 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 da, right? Most all of us have these enjoyable patterns. But pattern interrupts create irritation and stress because I'm expecting this at this time, and then when that doesn't happen, I become irritated. Pattern interrupt. So patterns basically cause laziness. Patterns can affect us positively, and if we are not present, they can affect us negatively. So, be conscientious of that. A soul, a true awakened being soul, which I'm nowhere close to yet, but I understand enough to make the statement, a true awakened soul does not have patterns. They literally go with the flow because everything is serving them. Their entire consciousness is whatever happens is exactly what is supposed to happen. And heaven is weaving the tapestry of life. And a truly awakened person has no agenda other than to serve others unconditionally. So they really don't think about food. They don't think about money. They don't think about anything because they're just here to serve. They have no agenda. But as we move towards that level of consciousness, we still want to recognize that patterns are controlling and can create negative conditions unless we're awake and aware. And it's optimally if we are in a creator consciousness where we're choosing preferred intentions, where we're choosing visualizing, this success and that positive health and that healthy, loving relationship, if we're consciously choosing those and enhancing those, we cannot dictate how they're going to arrive. Meaning, pattern interrupts might be necessary. Heaven might throw a wrench in the ringer so that what you ask for can arrive to you. And you might see it as a negative because we're so stuck in our patterns. So I divest a bit there. I'll come back to the qualities now. And I'm at the hour, so I'll have to wrap up in the next 10-15 minutes. Please forgive me for running over a little bit. So number 7, the greatest flourishing. All of us have levels of stress around money. If a lot of people who have too much money, or what's too much money, right? $1 million, $1 billion, they fear of losing it all the time. So we don't have enough, we fear about how we're going to pay the bill. People would have a lot, fear about losing it. So it all boils down to what? The noggin, our perspectives. It all boils down to, right, our understanding. So when we have any kind of experience around finances, how are we going to shift that negative financial concern, unless addressed with consciousness and presence? That negativity will become our output. That negative output will become our tomorrow. And as that tomorrow comes in, if we react and respond negatively, that again will become our output, and that will become our next tomorrow. And we will get more and more and more of what we don't want because we are failing to be present to that negativity, and we don't witness ourselves reacting and responding from a patterned place of negativity and fear and worry, doubt, concern, blah, 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 blah. We do not want to ride that horse. Get off that horse. Presence. What's Da Chang Sheng? The greatest flourishing. So what does a conscious creator do? What does a person who is a soul witnessing the mind want to ride the horse of negativity? What do? They say, I witness my mind having this negative loop. I witness my mind want to think this, da, 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 but I am not going to enhance that. I'm going to now, in this moment, choose a preferred vibration. I'm going to choose a positive feeling around this, whatever it is that created that, okay? And choose literally in that moment, create a preferred vibration, a preferred inner creation inside your mind. Close your eyes, create it. Now, optimally, you want to have already created a preferred money-based outcome, okay? So if you're, and this means like end result. So you see yourself as, 10 years older from now, and you're living in opulence, and you walk through stores and you can buy anything you want. You're literally helping people out of their difficulties, buy them a car, help pay off their house. Money is an absolute zero issue for you, right? That's just one example. When you spend time in that preferred vibration, enhancing that 10 minutes every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and expand it from your heart, very important. Your heart expands it, it's the emotion. The visualization's 10, 15, 20% maximum. Visualization is important, but maximum 20%. 80% heart expansion of the emotion of it, of the relief, the enjoyment, the great joy in your face of helping others out of their financial conditions. You enhance the gratitude, enhance Daganan, the next one, massive gratitude for having risen above and out of all of that. When you hold that vibration, guess what that is? That's your output. Output wraps around, becomes your tomorrow. Okay, so your predominant output becomes your predominant input. So if your predominant input 30, 40, 50 years of life have been negative this, negative that, negative this, negative that, fear, worry, doubt, repeat, it might take a little bit of practice to have your predominant output shift to 51% positive by being present, by choosing these 10 dot qualities, by creating creative imagery with enhanced emotional impact on that creative imagery, and then doing that daily. And then after a week, a month and a half, all of a sudden your input flips. 51% positive, 52, 54, 57, 60% positive. All of a sudden you're out of all of that struggle. Could be 2 months, 6 months, a year, depends on you and how quickly you want to change your life. Stress is a result of our responses and reactions, which are built by our programming. It is an ego response. It is a personality reaction and response. And it doesn't mean anything until we agree that it means something. We can simply say, I witness it, I choose not to enhance it, I prefer one of these 10 qualities instead, and I prefer to enhance this ideal outcome that I've been spending time building over here. We rinse, wash, repeat. The number one quality, especially for creating your preferred desired output and your preferred life, gratitude. I didn't really grasp this at the level needed until more recently. Gratitude is not just a cute word. It's not just a statement. It's not something that can be defined. It is literally a vibration. And it is something that can be remembered. Okay, so go to a place in your life where you clearly remember a massive gratitude and do that remembering right in your heart center. This guy, your heart center, has 4,000 more times power than this hard drive up here. This hard drive up here, it's all it is. I'm telling you, it's just a programming unit. It doesn't run the show unless you agree to it. And so you want to enhance this. And so when you have a preferred creation and you enhance it with gratitude, already done, I'm enjoying it, already done, and you just bathe in that gratitude of already being done, 10 minutes, a couple times a day, every day. And then when you're moving throughout your day, let's say it's gratitude about having true love in your life, for example, right? And you see yourself with that partner, again, 20%. So you don't know what that partner is going to look like. You just know what it feels like that they love you unconditionally. And that feels amazing. And you see yourself traveling and doing stuff. And you hear them saying, there is nothing you can do that would ever be, there's not enough of you, you know. And you just feel all that, right? What that does is it yells to the universe, this is the output that I want to be my tomorrow. Because if you're not doing the yelling through conscious 10 qualities, then your subconscious and your programming is doing the yelling for you. Get it? So we have to have alternatives to grab once we become present to the programming that has been creating our stress. 9 and 10 qualities: service and enlightenment. 10 is a side effect of the first 9. So let's focus on 9. Service. Service is selflessness. Service is agenda-less. Service is a side effect of trusting that everything is working in your favor. Service is not worrying. And when you're not worrying, that means you're not in your own stuff. When you're not in your own stuff, you have plenty of energy and no agenda. You just help others. But helping is not physically necessarily. You might know how to do something they don't know how to do. You might have a wisdom that they don't have. You might have a friend that can help them. Service has many different ways of occurring. And as we serve others, there's a natural side effect, which is positivity. Output equals input. By serving of others, others serve us, bringing about more of what we have told the universe we want more of, consciously. So these 9 qualities then can be viewed through eyes and ears differently than how they've ever been presented. And if we are to change our suffering, and if we are to become a more awakened being, which was what we came here for, then we want to be able to employ these qualities more and more on a daily basis. And this is examples of how they can be incorporated. Okay, so I believe in the chat, yes, I see that there's been a file dropped into the chat, and so you're welcome to grab that. It basically covers these 10 qualities. The team, I don't know, I have to check with Holly how they're doing it, if I send out the recording or if the team sends out the recording, but this will be available to reflect upon. I do suggest you do that. If And I'll grab this and drop it in the chat. If you're interested in any of these manifestation principles, I have a very affordable, simple course. It's like, I don't know, 11 videos, a couple hours worth of video altogether. You know, each one's like 10 minutes, not too long. And just a second, I'm looking for the link. And so, I don't know, it's like 29 bucks, something like that. It's not like I become rich with it, but it can give you some valuable insights. I'm dropping into the chat now as to go deeper with these insights. Okay, this is a bit advanced, but also topical in nature. And some of us need to go deeper and really grasp it on a deeper level. You know, how do I build that imagery, Paul? Can I go into that in the course? Other things like that, right? So I will sign off, but I'm gonna open the line in case there's questions. And then if not, then we'll sign off.
Thank you, Paul. That was wonderful.
Yeah. Is that Eliel?
Yes, it is.
Oh, hey, welcome, Eliel. Good to see you.
Thank you.
What, I don't see Snowball?
Ella, yeah, she's off in another corner.
Ah, okay. She's got a pretty little white cat. Thank you. Okay, anybody else wish to share, have questions? I do hope that this wasn't, you know, too advanced for the audience tonight. The subject matter is sharing Master Sha's wisdom. I just gave it an angle that hopefully you can work with that may assist you in your journey. And Terry says this is giving me insights, and he will work with it. Thank you, Holly, for your posts. Okay, so I want to thank all of you for coming. I apologize for going 14 minutes over, but we will return next week with a different teacher, and they will offer a different perspective on how to reduce your stress and maintain your focus. So thanks everyone for being here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
It was so helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.